Welcome back to the channel, my friends. Warhammer Man Studios. I'm Warhammer Man, and today we're taking a look at terrain in the new edition of Warhammer 40,000. This video is sponsored by CMO Games. More on that later. Safe terrain is now simple terrain in the new edition of Warhammer 40,000. Battles in the 41st millennia aren't fought on open battlefields and desolate parking lots. They're scattered with all kinds of foliage, ruins, craters, and remnants of wrecked war machines. Terrain provides vital cover for advancing armies, and in the new edition of Warhammer 40,000, the rules are just as lean and mean as the armies that fight amongst them. Terrain provides the benefit of cover rule for those units that can take advantage of it. As in previous editions, this adds 1 to save rolls against ranged attacks, but this time there's an important caveat. Having the benefit of cover will not improve saves of 3+ or better against weapons with an armor penetration characteristic of 0. This means a unit will never have its save improved to 2+ by terrain. So benefits of cover. Models can sometimes gain a measure of protection from terrain features. Each time a ranged attack is allocated to a model that has the benefit of cover, add 1 to the saving throw made for that attack, excluding invulnerable saves. Models with the save characteristic of 3+ or better cannot have the benefit of cover against attacks with an armor penetration characteristic of 0. Multiple instances of the benefit of cover are not cumulative. A model cannot benefit from this rule more than once at any one time. Alright, so the breakdown on this is interesting. So essentially you have a bunch of if this then that scenarios. So if you have a model with 3+ or 2+ armor, that's what this applies to. And then if that model is in terrain, it would normally gain +1 to its saving throw. But in the instance that it's shot by a weapon with 0 AP, it does not get the bonus. If it's hit by something with -1 AP or -3 AP, it will still get the +1 factored in from the terrain. But if it's hit with a weapon with an AP of 0, it will not gain the benefits from terrain. So basically, a regular Space Marine that's in terrain that gets shot by a regular bolter with no AP will still have a 3+ save. It will not get the 2+ save. So then if it gets shot, that same Marine in cover with a -1 AP weapon, the weapon would take their save up from a normal 3+ save to a 4+ save, so it gets worse, and then the terrain will give you +1 to that save and take it back down to a 3+. So essentially, if you are a Space Marine with a 3+ save or a Terminator equivalent with a 2+ save, when something hits you with 0 AP, you get no extra benefit. When something hits you with -1 AP, the terrain balances that out, and then you just take your regular save, and then anything -2 or more just removes 1 of the AP from the terrain. So I really like this overall. It essentially just makes it so if you already have really good armor, no matter how good of terrain you're in, if something's shooting you with no AP, it's not going to make your armor better. But if you're in really nice armor and you're in terrain and you get shot with a melt weapon, it's still going to help you. I think overall this is a really good rule because things with 3+ saves or 2+ saves that get the benefit and go to a 1+ or a 2+ really become exponentially more durable. The amount of durability that the terrain adds is really, really high. You don't think about it that much, but it really is. Because normally if you were going to fail your save on only a 1, so you have a 2+ save, that's a 1 in 6 chance you fail your save. But if your save is a 3+ save, that's actually a 2 in 6 chance. So it's twice as much. So it's double the casualties or double the failed saves. So it's very important, in my opinion, to remove that extra benefit against weapons with no AP. In the current edition of Warhammer 40,000, figuring out how units interact with certain pieces of terrain requires 1 of 4 terrain categories and a table of 12 different terrain traits. With typical areas having anywhere from 1 to 6 features to keep track of, the new edition slims that down significantly, with rules entirely determined by the kind of terrain you are using. Craters. This category includes other small patches of terrain such as rubble. It's the most simple type and functions like the area terrain of previous editions, granting cover to infantry models standing wholly inside of them. Even if the models are fully visible to the attackers targeting them, they get the cover. So craters and rubble. Benefits of cover. Each time a ranged attack is allocated to an infantry model that is wholly on top of this terrain feature, that model has the benefit of cover against that attack. So very cool. I like that there is just this overarching thing called the benefit of cover. And then after that, it's just what is the criteria to receive it. All right, next we have barricades. All sorts of terrain are classed as barricades, from Prometheum pipelines to ramshackle defense lines. Any and all models within 3 inches can claim cover as long as the object partially obscures them from at least one of their attackers. As the thickness of a barricade can often make it difficult to get within 1 inch of an enemy unit when charging, from the opposite side, the terrain type also modifies engagement rules to include models within 2 inches, providing they are attacking a unit on the other side of the barricade. Alright, so barricades and fuel pipes, engagement range. In the charge phase, if an enemy unit is within 1 inch of this terrain feature, a charging unit on the opposite side of this terrain feature can still make a charge move against the enemy unit, providing it ends that charge move as close as possible to the terrain feature and within 2 inches of the enemy unit. In the fight phase, units eligible to fight and models can make attacks if their target is on the opposite side of the terrain feature and within 2 inches of them. So I like this. It basically just adds a little bit of dynamicness to the game, sort of like a hatchway fight in Kill Team. There's going to be instances where someone's on the other side of a barricade and you're not able to physically place your model within 1 inch of them. This just extends that range now. So if you're within 2 inches of them and within 1 inch of the barricade piece, you guys can still fight. And I think that's great. Benefits of cover. Each time a ranged attack is allocated to an infantry model that is wholly within 3 of this terrain feature, if that model is not fully visible to every model in the attacking unit because of this terrain feature, that model has the benefit of cover against that attack. So basically you get the benefit of cover as long as you're within 3 inches of this terrain feature, but some part of your model has to be obscured to some part of your opponent's attacking models. If an enemy is standing behind some Promethean pipes and then you walk up right next to them and the Promethean pipes on the other side, it doesn't make sense that just because they're within 3 inches of it, they get benefits of cover. So if you have them fully out in the open, you have used your tactics to expose them, so they're not going to benefit from cover. I like that. All these changes seem simple, make sense, and I love the fact that they're just using this overarching theme, benefit of cover. All right, so debris. This terrain includes any bits and pieces that a unit can't end their move on, such as barrels, statues, and piles of discarded mech's workshop parts. These confer cover when they partially block a model from the attacking unit, regardless of range or size. Each time a ranged attack is allocated to a model, if that model is not fully visible to every model in the attacking unit because of this terrain feature, that model has the benefit of cover against that attack. So interestingly enough, there's no mention of vehicles or anything like that. It literally just says a model. So if you have one of these statues or like plasma bits or whatever, and you have a tank on the other side of it, it's presumed that you would get the benefits of cover because part of your vehicle is obscured. And again, I like that. I mean, there's always going to be a chance you accidentally hit the thing in between you and the thing you're trying to shoot. Now a quick message from today's sponsor. CMO Games has been selling Games Workshop products online for over 20 years. They carry the full line of Games Workshop products, including Warhammer 40,000, Age of Sigmar, Necromunda, Blood Bowl, paint tools, and more. Almost all Games Workshop products are priced at 15% off MSRP. CMO Games takes pre-orders for most Games Workshop products released at their earliest date possible. 12:01 a.m. on Saturday, they go live. Most of these pre-order products are also priced at 15% off MSRP. CMO Games offer free shipping in the US 48 with an order of $50 or more. Their customer service is top-notch and they ship most orders within 24 hours. Visit CMOGames.com using the affiliate link in the description and let them know that you heard about CMO Games from Warhammer Man. Now back to the video. Alright, next we have hills. The hills terrain type also encompasses solid buildings that units can stand on, like the Battlezone Frontieris landing pad or Munitorum armored containers. Both models and other terrain features can sit on top of hills provided they don't overhang the edge, and like debris, the hill confers cover to anything it partially obscures. This often results in some dicey close-range firefights, as the edge of the hill itself gets in the way of units shooting up and down at each other. So hills and sealed structures. Benefits of cover. Each time a ranged attack is allocated to a model, if that model is not fully visible to every model in the attacking unit because of this terrain feature, the model has the benefit of cover against that attack. So again, if there's any part of that terrain feature obscuring your visibility, they get benefit from cover. All of this stuff makes perfect sense, honestly, and so far the rules we're seeing from Games Workshop are stellar. I'm really looking forward to this new edition of 40K. One of the biggest things when we first got the launch of 9th edition, the terrain rules were absolutely insane. There was like a bunch of keywords and you had to look through at all the very specific stuff, and there was the heavy terrain and the light terrain, and you could do all kinds of stuff if you got charged inside a terrain, and it was just honestly way too much for new players. And then on top of that, before the game even started, you have to like classify all the specific pieces of terrain, agree on them. Sometimes it's not as easy as you think. I just love that they're just getting rid of a bunch of the extra trash and just like getting it to where we can play some Warhammer. Alright, so next we have the woods. Woods and forests are a little more involved than the rest. Any model fully inside the wood or viewed through an area of woodland terrain by a unit that is also not inside it is never considered to be fully visible and receives the benefits of cover. Alright, so woods. Visibility. Models and units that are wholly within this terrain feature are never considered to be fully visible to an obscuring model. Similarly, if a model is not wholly within this terrain feature must look through or over this terrain feature in order to draw a line of sight to another model, then that other model is never considered to be fully visible to the observing model, and so it will have the benefit of cover from this terrain feature. Aircraft and towering models are exceptions to this. Visibility to and from such models is determined normally, even if this terrain feature is wholly in between them and an observing model. Models that are wholly within this terrain feature can see out of it normally. Benefits of cover. Each time a ranged attack is allocated to a model, if that model is either wholly within this terrain feature or it is not fully visible to every model in the attacking unit because of this terrain feature, that model has the benefit of cover against that attack. So again, very simple. I really like it. If you're fully inside of the footprint of the terrain, which is cool if you use like the citadel trees, or maybe you have some of your own little forest stuff, woods, as long as you have some kind of base on it. So you have essentially like the area that's counted, and then obviously you have visibility as well. That is basically simple. You get the benefits of cover. As long as you're fully inside of it, you automatically get it. And if you're not fully inside of it, but your opponent has to draw line of sight through part of it, and part of one of your models is blocked, you still get the benefit of it. So essentially, if you're inside of it, or your opponent is shooting through it, you're going to get the benefits of cover. And finally, we have ruins. And I would imagine that now that we have the breakdown for this, that ruins are going to cover like 75% of the terrain in the game, as essentially that's the majority of what Games Workshop makes and sells for the game. So ruins. These wrecked and damaged structures completely block visibility of all models through their footprint, regardless of how much you can see through their fancy Gothic windows. Otherwise, models outside can shoot in, and models inside can shoot out. Since particularly tall ruins can give attackers an advantageous position, they also come with the plunging fire rule, which improves the armor penetration of characteristics of a ranged attack by 1 when the attacking model is more than 6 inches above ground level and shooting at a target on the ground, making it a great way to get around other units' cover. So that is interesting if it's more than 6 inches above ground level. And if I'm not mistaken, I want to say that Games Workshop's terrain features are 5 inches tall. But I could be wrong and it's actually 6. But essentially, if you have an elevated position, you get 1 extra AP if you're shooting down at someone, as long as you meet that criteria. Alright, so ruins. Plunging fire. Each time a model that is wholly within this terrain feature makes a ranged attack, if that model is 6 inches or more vertically from ground level, and every model in the target unit is at ground level, improve the armor penetration characteristic of the attack by 1. So again, I'll have to double check the heights on Games Workshop stuff. I'm not sure if this is going to apply, obviously, to like you have ground level and then first level. I'm not sure if that's going to be at least 6 inches vertical. That will have to be double checked, at least for Games Workshop's terrain, and then also for whatever, homemade or custom terrain you might have. And then benefits of cover. Each time a ranged attack is allocated to a model, if that model is either wholly within this terrain feature or it is not fully visible to every model in the attacking unit because of this terrain feature, that model has the benefit of cover against that attack. So as long as you are fully within the terrain feature's footprint, or a part of the terrain is blocking visibility to every model in your unit, you're going to get the benefit of cover. So very cool. That is the breakdown of all the terrain rules. So check out our new edition hub page for more rules and reveals, and come back next week for a look at the Tyrannid leader from the cinematic trailer who's strong enough to tear a Terminator in 2. So very cool. Definitely looking forward to that. So there we have it. That is the terrain rules for Warhammer 40,000 10th edition. And honestly, I have to say, I like them. The benefit of cover rule makes perfect sense to me. I like the idea of taking away the extra protection against weapons with no AP. But against weapons with AP, you're still going to be provided the same level of protection. And I like the overall simplified rules, because now everything just falls back to the benefits of cover, and all that other junk and confusing extra rules and stuff that most of the time people didn't even use is gone. Absolutely beautiful. I love it. So let me know what you guys think down below. Always like to hear back from you. Let me know what you're thinking of the new rules so far. Let me know what you're thinking of the new edition, and if you're excited. Special thanks to CMO Games for sponsoring the video. Check out the link in the description to save 15%. That's it for today. Warhammer Man Studios. I'm Warhammer Man, and I hope you guys got the benefits of me covering this terrain video. And I'm out of here.